Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's PM Modi to attend the 16th BRICS Summit in Russia's Kazan. Leaders to adopt the Kazan Declaration at the end of the summit. India's PM Modi to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Kazan. This will be their first bilateral meeting in 5 years. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken urges Israel to capitalize on Hamas leader's death to end Gaza conflict, also calling for increasing aid in Gaza. U.S. election rivals Donald Trump and Kamala Harris make their pitches to Latino voters as the White House race enters its final phase. And in sports, Indian men's hockey team to face reigning world champions Germany in a two-test bilateral series in New Delhi. Well, on to the first story now. First news from 6th BRICS Summit at Kazan, Russia. Well, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the 16th BRICS Summit in Russia's Kazan. The summit is themed Strengthening Multilateralism for Just Global Development and Security. The BRICS leaders will exchange views on pressing issues on the global and regional agenda. They will discuss the three main pillars of cooperation identified by the Russian chairmanship: politics and security, the economy and finance, and cultural and humanitarian ties. Particular attention will be given to the potential expansion of BRICS through the proposed establishment of a new category of partner nations. The outcomes of these discussions will be summarized in the Kazan Summit Declaration. A BRICS Plus outreach format meeting will also be convened today with representatives from nearly 40 countries in attendance. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding bilateral talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the margins of BRICS Summit in Russia's Kazan on Wednesday. The meeting comes on close heels of New Delhi and Beijing reaching an agreement on patrolling arrangements in areas along the line of actual control as per the situation in the year 2020 that may lead to disengagement and resolution of other issues in the future.
I can confirm that there will be a bilateral meeting held between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping tomorrow, 23rd of October, on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Russian President Putin on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Kazan. They looked at the increasing role BRICS is playing in world affairs. They also reviewed the special strategic partnership that India and Russia share.
The close ties between India and Russia remain as strong as ever. This was clear during India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS Summit in Kazan. Prime Minister Modi lauded Russia's leadership in BRICS, noting the group's increasing global influence, with several nations eager to join.
मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि ब्रिक्स समिट के लिए कजान जैसे खूबसूरत शहर में आने का अवसर मिला है। इस शहर के साथ भारत के गहरे और ऐतिहासिक संबंध रहे हैं। कजान में भारत के नए कॉन्सुलेट के खुलने से ये संबंध और मजबूत होंगे।
The two leaders reviewed the full spectrum of India-Russia relations, focusing on progress made since the last meeting in Moscow. Discussions centered on enhancing cooperation across key sectors and sharing views on critical global issues, including the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
एक्सेलेंसी, रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच चल रहे संघर्ष के विषय पर हम लगातार संपर्क में रहे हैं। जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा है, हमारा मानना है कि समस्याओं का समाधान शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से ही होना चाहिए। शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली का हम पूरी तरह समर्थन करते हैं। हमारे सभी प्रयास मानवता को प्रमुखता देते हैं। आने वाले समय में भी भारत हर संभव सहयोग देने के लिए तैयार है। एक्सेलेंसी, आज इन सभी विषयों पर विचार साझा करने का एक और महत्वपूर्ण अवसर है।
President Putin reiterated the strategic nature of the India-Russia partnership, emphasizing the importance of cooperation that will need to make important decisions that would strengthen BRICS' functioning and its global role.
We appreciate the ongoing Indo-Russian cooperation as important. Russia and India have a special privileged partnership which keeps growing. We welcome your decision to open Council General in Kazan. The relations between the two nations will improve under your leadership.
Earlier, Prime Minister Modi received a warm welcome from the Indian community in Kazan. The Indian diaspora in Kazan continues to make its mark globally, promoting Indian culture and contributing to various sectors with pride. With inputs from Jessica Taneja, Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's bilateral meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that Prime Minister and President Putin reviewed bilateral relations since their July meeting in Moscow. They addressed a wide range of issues, including trade, economy, energy, defense and education, while also discussing regional and global concerns.
The two leaders had an extensive agenda to go over. The whole range of bilateral issues, including trade, economic, energy, defense, connectivity, education, and people-to-people ties were discussed between the two of them. Regional and global issues of mutual concern also came up for discussion. The two leaders also exchanged views on several matters concerning BRICS, and President Putin expressed his appreciation for India's constructive attitude and contributions in concluding the documents related to the Kazan BRICS Summit.
Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the dinner hosted for BRICS leaders in Kazan, Russia. India's Prime Minister Modi, along with other BRICS leaders, witnessed a musical performance also. And India's Prime Minister also held bilateral talks with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit. Discussion focused on India-Iran bilateral relations, including on the importance of INSTC and Chabahar port for regional connectivity. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that Prime Minister Modi raised concerns about the situation in West Asia, stressed upon protection of civilians and the role of diplomacy in de-escalation of the situation.
Prime Minister and President Pezeshkian had a fruitful discussion. This was their first meeting since President Pezeshkian's election as the 9th President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Prime Minister congratulated him on his recent victory and reaffirmed India's commitment to deepening the age-old bilateral ties with Iran. The discussion focused on key areas of cooperation, particularly the Chabahar port and the international north-south transport corridor, which are crucial for enhancing regional connectivity and economic partnerships. In fact, seamless connectivity in the region was a theme of this meeting.
While Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman interacted with students at the Wharton Business School, University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, USA. During her interaction, she highlighted India's process governance reforms for investors and said that India is at a very critical juncture when you look at the ways India has to move forward. She also stated that the country has set a destination of becoming a developed nation by 2047.
Prime Minister gave himself this formulation, two of them. One is how are we going to go about this? So I would compress it to say 4 I's. First is infrastructure to be developed, whether it is your physical infrastructure in the name of bridges, ports, whatever, or the digital infrastructure which is so critical for so many different purposes. So infrastructure. The second would be to invest in it. And in that comes the element of private investments, but more importantly to kickstart the whole thing, have public investment go in. Third I is innovation. Unless we come up with innovative solutions for our problems and our aspirations, you're not going to last. And the most important is inclusiveness. In everything that we do, we want to make sure that everybody gets included. We are not going to let any one particular section of a society, omission or commission, not including people.
Prior to her U.S. visit, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was in Mexico from October 17th to 20th, where she interacted with political and business leaders from various sectors in both Guadalajara and Mexico City. And updates on Cyclone Dana now. The East Indian state of Odisha and West Bengal are bracing for cyclone impact as Dana set to hit the coastline of the two states as a severe cyclonic storm between Thursday night and Friday morning, unleashing a peak wind speed of 120 kilometers an hour. The Weather Forecasting Agency has issued heavy rainfall alerts in Odisha and West Bengal. Evacuations are currently underway in coastal regions of the two states as preparations intensify. South Bengal is anticipated to experience rainfall starting Wednesday. In Odisha, more than 5,000 relief centers have been set up with all modern facilities. The cyclone Dana has also affected the train movement, with several trains cancelled. Schools and academic institutions will remain closed in both states to ensure the safety of students. Cyclone Dana will be the second cyclonic storm to strike the Indian coast in 2 months after Cyclone Asna hit the peninsula in late August. Well, the Indian Army concluded its integrated fire and maneuver training exercise Swalamban Shakti on Tuesday at the Babina field firing ranges located in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. The 3-day-long training began on 17th of October and focused on testing new technologies developed by Indian manufacturers in line with the Self-Reliant India initiative. The exercise involved testing over 50 new technologies from more than 40 local industry partners under realistic battlefield conditions. It aimed to assess how well these technologies could support the Army's needs during the operations. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Israel confirms killing of Hezbollah Executive Council head Hashim Safieddine, presumed successor of Nasrallah. IMF retains India's GDP growth to moderate at 7% for financial year 25. And in golf, the Women's Indian Open is gearing up for its 16th edition in Delhi.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kurana, and moving on a mission to find solution to West Asia conflict. U.S. top diplomat Antony Blinken met with Israeli leadership on Tuesday, bringing hostages back, Gaza aid, and with that, an end to the conflict were the main talking points. Though his visit to Jordan, planned to be on Wednesday, was postponed without giving any reason. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israeli President Isaac Herzog and agreed that there is an opportunity to bring the hostages home after the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar.
I believe very much that the death of Sinwar does create an important opportunity to bring the hostages home, to bring the war to an end, and to ensure Israel's security. And that's exactly what our conversations today focused on with our Israeli colleagues, including arrangements for the period following the end of the conflict.
Know that there is a unique opportunity that following the killing of Sinwar and the other circumstances that have evolved, there is a unique opportunity to make a special effort to employ all tools necessary and possible to move forward and bring the hostages back home.
Well, during his meeting with Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant on Tuesday, Blinken discussed operational progress made by the Israeli Defense Forces in various arenas, efforts to ensure the return of hostages, and the importance of the U.S. stance with Israel following Israel's response to Iran's attack on Israel. Blinken said this will strengthen regional deterrence and weaken the axis of evil. Earlier in the day, Blinken also met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where they discussed the need for more humanitarian aid to reach civilians in Gaza. Blinken pressed Netanyahu to capitalize on the killing of Hamas leader by securing the release of the October 7 attack hostages. They also discussed other concrete steps moving forward, including setting up post-war structures in the Palestinian territory. Well, after repeated abortive attempts to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Blinken was making his 11th trip to the West Asia since the Gaza conflict erupted, and the last before a presidential election that could upend U.S. policy. Meanwhile, Israel promised to address U.S. concerns over the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Gaza, while Blinken called their efforts as insufficient. And Israel on Tuesday confirmed it had killed Hashim Safieddine, the heir apparent to Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, who was previously killed in an Israeli attack on October 4th. The military said Safieddine was killed in a strike carried out 3 weeks ago in Beirut's southern suburbs, as first confirmation of his death. A relative of Nasrallah, Safieddine was responsible for its military operations and executive council that overseeing Hezbollah's financial and administrative affairs. And in their efforts to attract different segments of American society, U.S. presidential rival Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are each looking to make their economic pitches to Latino voters with election just less than 2 weeks away. Kamala Harris on Tuesday said she would work to bring more funds to community banks to help Latino men secure small business loans. Harris added that America is absolutely ready to elect its first woman president, while Republican Donald Trump's economic roundtable aimed at Latino voters devolved into a tirade of insults against his opponent.
Absolutely. And I am saying that in terms of every walk of life of our country. You know, I think part of what is important in this election is really not only turning the page, but closing the page and the chapter on an era that suggests that Americans are divided.
She's sleeping right now. She couldn't go on the trail. You know, you'd think when you have 14 days left, you wouldn't be sleeping. She's not doing anything today. I should take one of that. We've gone days in a row, And I'm going 14 more days, and we're going to have a big victory party, hopefully, and we're going to turn our country around. We're going to make it great again, as I say. We're going to make America great again.
Well, updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Officials in Ukraine and South Korea have accused North Korea of dispatching troops to aid Russia in the conflict. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said confirmation of the presence of North Korean troops supporting Russia would mark a significant escalation.
I asked the President, and he said, I will absolutely do that, to send experts from the Republic of Korea to brief the North Atlantic Council. That will now happen early next week. And then we will see whether North Korea is indeed or not supporting Russia's illegal war in Ukraine. If that would be the case, if they would be sending troops to Ukraine, that would mark a significant escalation.
Well, meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on allies not to hide and to respond to evidence of North Korean involvement in Russia-Ukraine conflict on Tuesday. He said Ukraine had information about the preparation of 2 units, possibly up to 12,000 North Korean troops with Russian forces. Zelensky added, all of us in the world have an equal interest in ending the conflict, not in prolonging it. While South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's office said Seoul may consider directly supplying weapons to Ukraine as part of measures to counter military ties between North Korea and Russia. And on to some business news now. The International Monetary Fund on Tuesday retained its growth rate projects for India in its latest World Economic Outlook and expected India to grow at 7% in the current fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025 and 6.5% in the next fiscal year. The IMF said in India, the outlook is for GDP growth to moderate from 8.2% in 2023 to 7% in 2024 and 6.5% in 2025. These forecasts would still retain India as one of the world's fastest growing major economies. And in sports, the Indian men's hockey team will face reigning world champions Germany in a 2-match series at Major Dhyan Chand National Stadium on 23rd and 24th of October. This comes after India's successful defense of their title at the Asian Champions Trophy in China. The series marks the return of international hockey to the national capital. Harmanpreet Singh will captain the Indian side with Vivek Sagar Prasad as vice-captain. Hardik Singh, India's dynamic midfielder, will miss the series due to an injury from the Paris Olympic Games as he continues his rehabilitation. The series will also see Rajinder Singh and Aditya Arjun Lagate make their international debuts. And the 16th edition of Women's Indian Open 2024 will get underway from October 24th in New Delhi. With the rise of golf in India, the event is providing a new opportunity to all women golfers. More in this report.
Golf is on a rise in India, and with the 16th edition of Women Indian Open 2024 at the Gurgaon Golf Course Club, the event is providing a new opportunity to all women golfers. The event is witnessing the participation of 100+ national and international golfers who are all set to represent their country at the prestigious event. Participating for the first time in India, Switzerland's Chiara said that she is really excited to be a part of this event and expressed her happiness on being in India for the first time.
I'm very excited about the tournament. It's always nice to travel to different places. It's my first time in India, experience some different cultures, trying some different food and playing on a beautiful golf course as well. So it's been a treat so far.
On the other hand, England's Alice said that Gurgaon course is a bit tough, but it's always exciting to play alongside the Indian players.
The course just demands everything from you. You've got to be so precise off the tee, you've got to hit good iron shots, and you've got to be good on the greens. The greens this week are particularly firm and fast, and so that makes kind of the approach shots even more important so that you're leaving yourself in a good position. I just feel it's going strength to strength, especially in the golf world. We're seeing so many more Indian players come out on tour and excel week after week. The season that Diksha had last year was exceptional, and Tavesa going from strength to strength. So it's fantastic to see.
India's sensational golfer Diksha Dagar, who has won the Indian Open in the past as well, said the sport is witnessing transformational journey in India.
ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि इंटरनेशनल टूर्नामेंट हमारे देश में हो रहा है, अच्छी गोल्फ कोर्स पे, और इंडियन गर्ल्स भी खेल रही है, देख रही है, काफ़ी लोग आ रहे हैं और कॉमन लोगों को भी पता लग रहा है कि गोल्फ क्या है.
Not only this, the Golf Course Club also received an award for Best Course Condition, highlighting the improving sporting infrastructure of India.
National and international golfers are all excited to participate in the 16th edition of Women Indian Open Golf Tournament here in Gurgaon, Delhi NCR. And not only this golf course has also been awarded as the best maintained golf course here in India. So what are you waiting for? Do cheer for your favorite women golfer at this particular tournament, because sports is witnessing a transformational journey across India. With camera person Ajit, this is Sipika reporting for DD India.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from Al Fasair in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.